Before the video starts, I had to. I literally had to. Y'all don't understand how much I love Squishmallows. I have so many. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Five Below with my sister. We're gonna see Spider-Man. We're gonna get snacks. But I saw this gargoyle and I had to get it. It's so cute. I named it Quasimodo because he's friends with gargoyles in that movie. They're his only friend besides Esmeralda, but I had to. Okay, I had to. Okay, that's out of the way, right? Good, yep. Oasis!
John Lennon used to fucking moon about and doing little mad things and that.
Do you know John Lennon?
Do you know him?
I don't, but do you?
Yeah.
Well, you must be pretty old. How old are you? 21?
No, about fucking 1005 fucking one.
You're 22?
No, I'm 21.
Right, remember, I watched you being born.
Right then.
And I don't even know John Lennon.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today is the anniversary of when Oasis played at Knebworth. They actually played for 2 days, so this is technically a part 1, because part 2 is going to be talking about if they're going to be playing at Knebworth again next year. Just saying. But yes, dear viewer, in August of 1996, Oasis played 25,000 people at Knebworth. 2.6 million people applied for tickets. The Supersonic documentary tells the story of, you know, the band's rise and fall and all that stuff, and it does mention the Knebworth gig, even shows footage of the Knebworth gig, and it's a huge crowd of people. Like, that is so many people.
All the fans, all the people who make us what we are. I'd like to thank all the people. All the people, so many people, and they walk counting hands, and it has through their shite life.
I want to dive deeper into this before we even talk about if this should have ended Oasis. Obviously, it shouldn't have, but that's besides the point. So like I said before, the Knebworth gig is widely regarded as one of the most iconic live performances in British rock history, which was obviously held at the Knebworth House in Hertfordshire, England on August 10th and August 11th of 1996, and it marked the peak of Oasis's popularity during the Britpop era. Like I said before, the event drew an astonishing 250. Why did BBC say 25? It's still a lot of people. It also solidified Oasis' status as one of the biggest bands in the world at the time. The demand for tickets was unprecedented, with 2.6 million people, approximately 5% of the UK's population at the time, attempting to secure entry, marking it one of the most sought-out concerts in British history. The event was a cultural phenomenon, showcasing the overwhelming influence of Oasis during the mid-1990s, an era dominated by Britpop's rise and the band's chart-topping success. The Oasis Knebworth concerts are remembered as the pinnacle of Britpop's influence, marking the band's greatest triumph before internal tensions began to take their toll on the band, obviously. The performance remains a touchstone for British rock, demonstrating Oasis's ability to, unite vast audiences with their anthemic songwriting. Even decades later, this concert remains a cultural phenomenon, symbolizing an era in which music defined generations, and Oasis stood at the forefront of that moment. That isn't to say it was all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, because, funnily enough, I don't know if anyone of y'all know this, but this actually used to be lost media, apparently. Let's dive more into this before we even talk about that or talk about if this should have ended the band. At the time of the Knebworth concerts, the band was already at the top of the world, with their second album, What's the Story Morning Glory, going straight to #1 in 12 countries, and was hailed as one of the greatest albums of the decade. Aside from the success, though, they did have to let go of certain people. Their drummer, Tony, was fired and replaced with Alan White. Well, this is when they were recording the album, but yeah, still. And a recording of Noel and Liam arguing during an NME event interview went public on the time that the interview was released. And the brothers fighting became public knowledge. It's like probably one of the most things you know about Oasis. And the tour prior to the Knebworth gigs wasn't even smooth sailing either, as some shows were cut short due to objects getting thrown at the band. And the brothers were constantly making tabloid headlines due to their constant fighting and partying lifestyles. It got so bad that Giggsy had to briefly leave the group during the tour after being subjected to verbal abuse from Liam while doing press for the album, but was convinced to return not long after the Knebworth dates were announced, 3 months before the concerts. And despite the late announcement of these gigs, they sold out very quickly. The concerts are notable for not only being performed to a record-setting crowd, but also for the live debut of a couple songs from their third album, Be Here Now, those being My Big Mouth and It's Getting Better Man, and also the former guitarist for Stone Roses, John Squire, just 4 months from after his departure from the, band, came on for the last two songs of the gig, Champagne Supernova and I Am the Walrus. But here's the thing that not many people know. Along with the Earl's Court and Main Road concerts from earlier in the tour, the Knebworth gigs were obviously recorded. Live Forever, Champagne Supernova, and I Am the Walrus were used in place of Round Our Way, My Big Mouth, and It's Getting Better Man when Radio 1 broadcast the second gig, and contains an extra performance of Don't Look Back in Anger from the previous gig. But unlike the Earl's Court and Main Road gigs, the Knebworth gigs were never fully released to the public, which is really crazy. I never actually knew this. Only several tracks in audio, like the aforementioned Radio 1 broadcast from the gigs, have been released, mostly in re-releases for What's the Story, Morning Glory, and Be Here Now. Bootleg recordings of the gigs have surfaced online in varying forms of quality. Footage from the gigs were used in the documentary Supersonic, as I mentioned before, and additional footage from a bootleg of the venue's monitors have also surfaced online. However, several songs from the first gig were still missing. But in July of 2021, it was announced that a documentary of the gigs entitled Oasis Knebworth 1986 was going to be released that September, and the film showcased footage of both gigs that have never been seen before and are very different than what appears in the bootlegs. The film met its release date on September 19th, 2021, and very quickly became the highest-grossing documentary in 2021 in the UK. A box set of the film was also released 2 months later on November 19th of 2021, and contained a live album featuring a select number of songs from both gigs and an extra 2 DVDs that contain the complete footage of both Knebworth gigs. And the footage would later find its way to YouTube and, of course, can be viewed there. Now we get back into the BBC article, which is a little weird to say that 1996 could have been the death of Oasis, because it wasn't, because they did continue to play and make music for another 12 years, obviously. And while later albums may not have had the verve and vigor of the first two albums, there are some outstanding tracks from across their work. Liam's songwriting is often overlooked, possibly because of his misdemeanors like Little James, but he also did write some real stand-the-test stuff, like Songbird and Born on a Different Cloud. Not the most complex tunes, but with a haunting, melancholy, weird atmosphere. What's more, a close look at the Supersonic film, I think what they're talking about, shows the signs of rot setting in, if that's what it was. We're there to see before Knebworth happened. There's a brilliant sequence about, when the band first went to America and they unfortunately, had, I don't think I could say it on YouTube, but they thought they were, but it turns out they were, I don't know how to describe it. They thought they were, but it turned out to be, What I'm trying to say is that their gig at the Whiskey A Go Go could have ended them at that moment. Like, they did not take those drugs. I don't think we would have gotten talk tonight. Honestly, I don't know. My hair is bad. I can't tell if I have a bald spot coming in. I don't even know. Either way, what the documentary illustrates is that things were always on a knife's edge. Their mom, Peggy, said that she sometimes wishes things had turned out different, but Liam's pretty sure that it wouldn't have happened either way. He describes his and Noel's relationship like a boxing match. We were never going to last 10 rounds, and it was never going to go to points. He also uses another analogy, in which he describes what may have been the inevitable outcome had they both worked as fishmongers instead of rock stars. We'd still probably slap each other with a trout every now and then. What? Anyways, that's the whole video for now. I would have put the news of them possibly doing Knebworth again for next year in this video, but I want it to be separate, so it will be a part 2 that I will immediately be working on after this one. But yeah, iconic gig. I don't have Knebworth on anything. I probably should start getting more live albums. This hair's in the wrong place, but whatever. Okay, so I probably should get more Oasis music. The crazy thing is that I almost have the entire discography. I'm just missing like 2 albums. It's weird. I'm missing Heathen Chemistry and Be Here Now. Other than that, I'm pretty sure I got all of them.